Welcome to another review on Tools of Note. Today we will be reviewing the Field Notes pocket journals. We're going to be talking not just about the standard Field Notes craft journals, these brown craft brown ones that you see here. We are also going to be covering a lot of other like the Field Notes quarterly editions. So I'm going to show you a lot of the quarterly editions that I have on hand, and we're going to be talking about all of them and how Field Notes is a company that likes to experiment and likes to push the envelope when it comes to printing techniques and give customers and consumers different offerings every quarter, every 3 months of the year. I'm currently subscribed, waiting for the next shipment, should be coming in tomorrow, so maybe I'll do a separate video on that. But for the time being, this will be a little bit longer video explaining Field Notes, reviewing Field Notes as it stands, and then talking about the quarterly editions and reviewing those a little bit as well. So here we go. All right, so we are going to be going over the Field Notes notebooks today. If we're getting into the pocket notebooks, it's likely that if you have been introduced to journals or notebooks, you likely were probably introduced, or your gateway notebook was Moleskine. That's a lot of people's first notebook is Moleskine, first maybe kind of like high-end journal, but if it wasn't that, it was likely Field Notes. Field Notes is huge in the pocket notebook area. This was their original product. This is kind of their area of expertise, the pocket notebooks, and but as I will mention later on, they have come out with other sizes and other editions over the years. In our first category of paper quality, I would give the Field Notes probably 1 out of 2. It's nothing super special. It's, as you can see, they have all the specs in the back of their notebooks. It is 60-pound bright white paper. It's not the thinnest paper on the market. It's also not the thickest paper that you can get in a pocket notebook. So it's pretty standard. I would say it's usually smooth paper. So pencils don't feel great on it. They feel okay, but I usually like a little more tactile feedback. I like a little bit scratchier paper. You can see here I've written a bunch of different utensils on here, including Sharpie, different types of pencils here, even a fountain pen. And if we look for ghosting or bleed through, you're pretty much just getting it from the Sharpies, maybe a little bit from the fountain pen and a little bit from the pigment liner and the rollerball pen. It's more just ghosting up there. So it's not horrible. I mean, you can't use, you probably don't want to use Sharpie on it, but that's pretty standard with a lot of papers. It's going to bleed through. So it's okay paper. It kind of depends on what you're used to, what you like in your paper. It's smooth, so it doesn't capture as much graphite. It smudges pretty easily. So just keep that in mind when you're kind of considering what Field Notes to get, whether or not this is going to work out best for your needs. I would say for most people's needs, this will be a fine pocket notebook, but 1 out of 2, it's pretty average. In terms of construction of a Field Notes notebook, it's solid. 2 out of 2, I've got no complaints. I usually keep mine in a cover, holds up well, but I have also, for a majority of the Field Notes I've carried around, have kept them just in my back pocket without a cover, and they hold up just fine. I don't think I've ever had any pages slip out from the 3 staples holding it together. I don't think I've had anything rip. I can't say that for other brands such as Moleskine. I've definitely had those fall apart in my pocket. These have held up really well. So I would definitely give this a solid review on the construction. It's great. It's utilitarian. And holds up in the back pocket or a bag. For accessibility and transport, this size is pretty much the gold standard when it comes to pocket notebooks. It's about 3.5 by 5.5 inches. Right down there. So standard size for pocket notebooks, it's good. It fits well into the back pocket or into a purse for daily carry. So yeah, I would give this a 2 out of 2 on the accessibility and transport. It's easy to grab, easy to find in your pocket or purse or in a bag. I sometimes throw it in my backpack. It's got a good size to it, not too big, not too small. Other notebooks have kind of played around with the standard pocket notebook size, but this is kind of that Goldilocks just right in the middle. In terms of aesthetics, I gave that a 2 out of 2, and I'm giving it that if I kind of combine it with the quarterly offerings, which I'm going to talk about a little bit later. For the standard craft paper, it doesn't look like much, kind of just craft paper. I really think the Futura typeface kind of brings it home with the design, but besides that, it's very plain, just kind of branding across the front. But for their quarterly ones, as you'll see a little bit later in this video, they just push the envelope on a lot of designs. They have a lot of fun with the designs. So for that reason, I think aesthetics-wise, Field Notes is very aesthetics-minded. They like to create beautiful products that look good, even if it's just a simple craft paper design notebook. They definitely have an eye for design. So I would give them a 2 out of 2 on that. The hand feel of the notebook, how does it feel in my hand? It's good. It's light, does not feel heavy. It's flexible, it's smooth, the paper's smooth. Yeah, it's a great hand feel. This is a great starter pocket notebook. If you're looking to just get into more writing or sketching or to-do lists or anything throughout your day, this is a good size to start with. The price is right. It's, I think, $9.95 for a 3-pack of the craft notebooks, and then the quarterly ones are a little bit more. They're about $12.95 for a 3-pack. So just kind of depends on your preference, but this is a great one to start out with, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about those quarterly offerings right here. As I mentioned before, the craft notebook was their first foray into pocket notebooks about 10 years ago. They just started with this kind of brown craft notebook, and that was it. That's kind of what they offered. After a while, they incorporated this pitch black edition into their flagship. So they just kind of made a black one with a gray type, same size, same amount of pages, same style, same quality, just a kind of different colorway. Then they started to kind of introduce these larger ones. So these are a little bit bigger, 64 pages, so it has more paper. This is just kind of a special edition roastery one, but they started to kind of introduce these in the craft paper and the black paper. And then they went into some steno notebooks, some kind of spiral bound top held notebooks. And then they started doing these color editions. So these are released every quarter. They've been doing it for a couple of years now. And this is kind of their time as almost like a design test kitchen. They're able to just play around with different designs, different styles, different printing techniques. In this one, you can see they were practicing with die cut, with the moon. This is a much thicker, almost kind of like plasticky cover. They played with the grid, so this is a reticle grid instead of like a dot grid or just a straight graph grid, as you can see here. They would play with this is a special kind of 2-pass printing technique, and they played with kind of the inside colors on these as well, so to match kind of the colors, they were different. So they've kind of played around with just different styles of that standard. This is the standard size, the same size as the craft notebook. They would play with different printing techniques. They also have this. They have one for every single state. This one is Oregon. It's the 50 States edition. So they've been playing around with a lot of different styles and editions and the different printing techniques. This was a play on the binding technique. So this is pure binding. It's just kind of a glue binding. They forego the staples on this one and went with just a kind of a shiny metallic cover on this. This last, the winter edition was the resolution. So they had one that was like this day book to cover the weeks and months and days of the year. and they combine it with two like kind of task list notebooks as well. So they kind of have been playing around with these styles and printing techniques, and it's just a way for them to kind of have fun as a company and to release kind of special collector's offerings. There's a lot of people who try and collect all of them. They are more expensive than their standards. The standard craft notebooks and the pitch black ones are $9.95 for a 3-pack. These ones are $12.95 for a 3-pack. And this last fall of 2017, they came out with a dime novel edition. It is a bit larger than the pocket edition, but not as large as that kind of larger size. This was their play on the dime novels of the 19th century, and they played with kind of the printing technique. They did this kind of debossed style, and they made a larger size, and because they made a larger size, they were able to go with higher quality paper. So this is a 70-pound paper, and I gotta say it is absolutely amazing. This may be a nice just in between for people. I found this sometimes to be a little bit larger in my back pocket when I was trying to carry it, but I really did enjoy the size for writing, journaling, sketching. This would be a good like travel notebook. It wore down really well. And despite this edition selling out, they have made that as a flagship size now on their website. It's called the Signature Size. It is $14.95 for a 2-pack, and they have it in ruled or plain paper. So you can get this size. I would recommend picking it up if you are maybe having issues with the lack of pages, or maybe the smaller size or the paper quality in this. I would definitely recommend picking up this size. It's kind of a fun in between that not a lot of other companies are doing, and I have spoken to some people who have said this is a perfect just in between for a pocket journal to jot down to-do lists and sketch, but also to kind of have a daily journal entry at the end of the day, just a short entry that they want to input. So yeah, that is kind of an overview of the different quarterly editions. You don't have to get a quarterly edition if you don't want to. It is just kind of a fun way for them as a company to experiment. If one kind of comes up that you enjoy or that looks good to you, definitely pick it up, give it a shot. But otherwise, sometimes you just need a regular pocket journal, pocket notebook. This craft paper will do just fine. The pitch black will do just fine. Field Notes is a great company. They do a lot of great work, and they're constantly experimenting with different printing techniques and creative ways to bring new designs to the pocket notebook industry. So check them out. Pick up a pocket notebook. I'll put a link in my show notes if you want to check out their website. But you can also get them at a lot of other retailers. Even if it's not a stationary store, there are plenty of just outdoor stores that sell these. They've started to partner with like even some clothing boutiques like LL Bean or Abercrombie, some clothing companies. They'll come out with kind of special editions with them as well. So anyway, check them out. I would absolutely recommend getting a pocket journal, and this is a solid one to start out with if you're looking to kind of get into that field and into the foray of pocket journals.